And here we go.
We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
RCPA chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, roll, Atlantic.
Water towers fly! Yes!
Tango down to nominal.
Fighting downside FD off. Bring in FD off. Off. It's orange! 145!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage.
Look at this!
Put that in the big bag, you know.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed. We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
This methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You dead? We don't need any more of these.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another NSF live stream. You are taking a live look over at the Massey's test site just west of Starbase, Texas, where, as we can see, there is a bit of tank farm activity where Ship 34 is stationed ahead of some engine testing before Flight 8 activity commences. My name is Max Evans, and for the first time ever, I will be your host for tonight's live stream. But as always, I will not be alone on this live stream. I am first joined by Alex. What's going on, Alex?
Am I talking to the field or like what's going on? I'm used to hearing you from the field.
I
not
know,
in
this is
studio,
weird.
Like hosting, right? It's like ooh. Oh yeah, it's exciting. New ship, new static fire. Let's see what happens.
Hopefully a static fire. Yeah, I guess cross your fingers. We will see what happens. And also joining us is Mr. Ryan Weber. What's going on, Ryan?
Not much. Trying to see if we can see a frost line, but the subcoolers have been going for a while, so we assume that it's being loaded. So that's kind of why we're here, you know. I mean, it's one of those things. It's like the lock subcoolers really kind of started going about 20 minutes ago. So if that's anything to go by, it's usually like a 50-minute, prop load. So you'll see the lock subcoolers kind of go, and you'll see the methane subcoolers go on and off for a bit. Maybe 7:30, between 7:30 and 8, possibly, for whatever they plan on doing. Whether that's
Yeah, it is pretty dark over there, so it is pretty difficult to see exactly what's going on in terms of if there's any frost on the vehicle. It looks like there's a bit of a frost line on the bottom of the ship there, but that is, of course, on the heat shield side of the ship. So it could be some other either unfinished tiles or some other area on the ship that has some other unfinished surface on it. But just as a reminder to everybody, if you have any questions in chat, feel free to tag us at NASASpaceflight, and we will get through all of your questions as soon as we can. So, Alex, give us a rundown on on where in the pre-flight process Ship 34 is, and do you have any idea roughly how long it could be before it's ready?
That is definitely the big question that we all have, right? So right now, usually these vehicles get first fully stacked, right? They're built in barrel sections, whatever. Then they go to Massey's for a cryogenic proof testing. They load nitrogen and oxygen to make sure that they can endure all of the cryogenic temperatures, and also that there's no, leaks or anything like it. So they use that. Then they roll back to the Mega Bay, in the case of ships Mega Bay 2, and then they get their engines. And then that's when they go into their engine test campaign for Booster 15. We already saw that just a few days ago, like it was on Sunday, essentially, when we had that full engine static fire test of Booster 15, the booster for Flight 8 of Starship. Now it's the turn for 34, for Ship 34, which is the ship for that mission. And so right now, we think we're going to go straight into a static fire, but of course, it's an open-minded kind of thing, right? Where they could always go for a spin prime or something of the likes, if they feel like they are not fully ready yet for a static fire test, right? But so far, we are expecting and hoping for a static fire test for this ship Of course, it has 6 engines, right? 3 sea-level Raptors and 3 vacuum engines. So we expect those to be fired up today, all 6 engines on that test fire. We don't know how long it'll last as well. Like, it's something that it's usually a bit dependent on different vehicles and things like that. Like, we've seen some ships maybe firing 10 seconds, others have been maybe 5 seconds. It's usually around that length. We don't know how long it'll be today either, but whatever it is, we'll take it. Just static fire.
Yeah, I honestly, I wouldn't be too surprised if it does end up being somewhat of a longer duration, given the issues that they have to work out of what happened to Ship 33 and how soon in flight that unfortunately did occur. They've got a lot of work to do, and I'm sure Ship 34 it already has some improvements on board to help alleviate that, and also reduce the probability of the same thing happening for Flight 8. Going through some more questions here in the chat. Space Nerd wondering, do you guys think the first ship catch will succeed? And I think we can go around the horn on that one. I'll start with you, Ryan.
Ooh. They got the booster in the first try, but ship is a whole nother ballgame. Since they have to do that flip and burn, although they, in the past 2 at least, flip and burns that they did with 30 and 31 they've said they've been on target. So I will go with it's 50-50 that it happens on the first try. Is what I'll say.
All right, Alex.
Hang on, because I got lost there. Can you repeat, please?
Yeah, no, it's all good. The question was, do we think SpaceX is going to catch ship the first time successfully?
Right. Yeah. There's a good chance that it does happen on the first try. We saw that with the booster, right? The first attempt, booster 12, they got it on the first attempt. I'd say that's a high chance. I wouldn't be so sure. I'll say the same thing that I said for the booster, which is they probably have some different abort criteria, right? Like, the tower is good, the booster is good, so then let's go for the full boost back burn on the booster, for example. And then I said for the booster that if that abort is not there, like if they go for the catch, then they'll absolutely catch the booster. And I was right. So now I'm going to say for the ship, the same thing. There'll probably be some kind of, deorbit burn or something like that they need to do. Or there's going to be, some logic gate, so to speak, like some conditions that need to be met, right? At some point in the trajectory, as you can imagine, that will determine whether they actually go for the catch or not. If everything is cleared up to that point, I think the ship will be caught. Because otherwise it's like, why not? If everything is ready, how couldn't it be caught, right? It's like, it surely is going to be caught, yeah.
I mean, it will eventually be caught, I'm sure, but I think a point that is worth hitting home a lot is shipping a catch. I almost said that. Catching a ship is a whole other ball of wax compared to catching a booster, of course, because the ship will be traveling at orbital velocity and will have to re-enter and come down at a precise point. And we don't exactly have any idea of what SpaceX's plan for that could be, whether it be a once around and do one orbit and then try to counteract the orbit of the Earth and be caught on the second tower to alleviate the space that the booster, for instance, might be at. Or if they'll give it, like, say, a 24-hour-ish period for the orbits to realign, and in that period of time, picking the booster up, putting it on a stand, and having it cleared out to make space for the ship should something unfortunate happen to it. We really don't know yet. But I guess to formally answer your question, I think they will catch it on the first try. I'm feeling pretty confident so long as they have no issues on the way up, like what happened to Ship 33. Alrighty, got some support coming in here from Mr. George Sword with a 1999 super chat. Thank you very much. We greatly appreciate that. Thank you very much. And just as a reminder to everybody, you do not need to support us monetarily if that is not up your alley, or if that is not something you are in a position to. A simple like or subscription on our YouTube channel helps, as well as following us on all of our socials and helping spread the message of what we do to help document this modern era of spaceflight the best we can. That is all the support we need to keep going and to be further inspired by all of y'all, because we are here for y'all at the end of the day. All right, next question. I think so. Q-Man is asking, what are your predictions for Flight 8's outcome? I think we already, I guess here Hugh is, referring to Flight 8 still being the flight where they will go for a ship catch attempt. I think it might be safe to say that, ooh, do I hear some venting?
It is a vent. Sounds like a vent. Or wind.
or I mean,
yeah.
It might be kind of hard to hear a vent from that, considering where 34 currently is.
Yeah, I guess. Is it me, or does there look like there's less tank farm activity now, or is that just the angle we're at?
No idea right now.
So
I still see some venting from the subcoolers.
Yeah.
So the center vent you see there, kind of like off to the left of the singular light that's at Massey's. I wish they had a spotlight on the ship so badly. That is where basically the locked subcoolers are, for the static fire stand. So with those going, it would seem to indicate they are possibly into load. But it's really, really hard to tell because, of course, we cannot see the leeward side of the ship. So we can't see a frost line. But considering they've been going for a while, usually it means that they should be into some sort of prop load. Don't really know how much frost is on it. So we're just kind of waiting here to see any other indications. It'll almost be impossible to also tell when we see engine chill, because it's on the other side of the static fire stand from this view. But they did change it up, so we might be able to see a change. So,
guess fingers crossed. I get, as in all things spaceflight, it's a hurry up and wait situation, especially in these conditions where we can't see a whole lot, unfortunately. We don't have Jack with us tonight in Starbase, so we do not have any alternative camera views from the Rio Grande, courtesy of Rocket Ranch, like we normally aim to, but we are just going with the flow and going after what we can.
You know what, Max and Ryan?
What's that?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, whenever that thing fires, we're going to see it.
Oh, yeah. See a bright flash of light. Yeah.
That's all I care right now. That we see the static fire.
We are going to see something, I guess. Whether it be a lot, we don't know, but it'll be pretty difficult to miss that gigantic exhaust plume coming out of the flame diverter down below all 6 Raptors. So we will see what we will see. Going through some more questions here. Christian, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing this, Giara is asking, do you think they fixed all the issues that arose from Ship 33 Rudd? I mean, we hope so. I think it is fair to say they would not be having Ship 34 up on the test stand if they didn't feel confident in what it would do. I mean, the argument could be made for Ship 33 in that regard, but that was the first ever Block 2. I'm sure it behaved a little bit differently than they perhaps thought it might, but you never know. But the fact that Ship 34 is up on the test stand right now should bode enough confidence that SpaceX has, of course, at least made progress into bettering the issues that plagued Ship 33, unfortunately. Let's see here, going through some more support. Arrow Parker asking, at NASASpaceflight, will this be the first ship static fire at night? Alex, Ryan, do either of you know?
Won't be the first
Massey's,
at night.
yes.
At Massey's, it will be. In total, no. 20 and 24 did ones at night, too.
That seems so long ago now. Like,
that is a long
that seems
time
so
ago.
long ago now. Those were also, because as Alex, you were just saying, those were at the the old suborbital pads, right?
Yeah, those were a little bit more epic in the sense that you could actually see the fire. Like you could see the Mac diamonds and everything. Here, unfortunately, we don't have that, but in exchange of that, we do have an awesome plume and things like that. Like, you don't get the whole ship being obscured by its own exhaust, which it did happen on the suborbital pads.
That would not be ideal.
Yeah. And a very similar thing will happen once they move to Pad B, the orbital ones, right? Where on the current orbital pad, as soon as the engines ignite and the thing is starting to lift off, it gets obscured by its own exhaust. But now, with the new flame trench that they're building, right, and the flame bucket and whatever, we're going to have clear views of the liftoff if you obviously are in the correct location. If you are right across the flame trench, you're going to get blasted, of course. But, if you are perpendicular to the flame trench, then you will not get blasted. And so you have clear views of the rocket as it lifts off. Which, by the way, that's one of our cameras. I know.
It is. It does look like it does look. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Is that CP11 by the production site, or is that still in the dunes?
I was thinking from the
site.
south perspective.
Okay.
Yeah,
See,
that's gonna be cool.
I'm not in Starbase as often as Jack is, and I don't watch it certainly as often as you all do, and I'm based here in Florida, of course, so I had that excuse, I guess.
Yeah, and this is the outpost camera, by the way, from the rocket range.
Yes.
Which you've been there, right?
Absolutely. I think it's also worth noting that I completely forgot to mention that Kevin Michael Reed, the one and only, is the one helping to produce tonight's live stream. And we also have out in the field Caesar giving us another view over from the Rocket Ranch too. So thank you very much to Rocket Ranch for hosting these cameras and for hosting Caesar and getting this view over to us for everyone else to enjoy. We got Moldy Space Industry with a few gifted memberships. Thank you very much. 1 Red Team membership. Sweet. Thank you very much, Moldy. We love seeing you around. And, who is this? The one, Jack Bayer? Is that his name? Jack Bayer? Bayer?
That might be his name. I don't know.
I'm not going to read his message just because I need to humble myself, and he's being way too kind. But with the $5.99 super chat, Jack Bayer, you are a legend. I would not be here without you.
He's yelling at you.
Is he? Oh my gosh.
I don't know. Or at least it's in all caps.
Good. Yes, Jack, I know it's Bayer. I was saying Bayer just to annoy you. Right. Was he? Read the super. I can't see, Jack. I already cleared it, so I can't read it anymore. Unfortunately, I love you a long time though.
Ouch.
Oh goodness gracious. Hype 420. Does this ship have catch hardware? I haven't seen any pre-roll imagery of it, so it does not have catch hardware.
It does not.
Does not.
I didn't even see anything prepped for it yet. So my assumption is that it'll get added on. I assume they'll do the same bolted on points that they did on 33 rather than do the whole like actual structural stuff, because 35 is going to have the structural stuff. We already saw it's got the holes cut into its payload bay when that rolled out of Star Factory and went for stacking, which is now sitting on the center stand in Mega Bay 2. So my guess is they'll do the non-structural on this again and then try to test it out. And then we'll finally get structural on 35 if they intend to catch that one question mark. One of those.
Here's hoping.
Yeah.
All right. Super chat here from the one and only Anthony Gomez. Hey, brother, we love seeing you around. $20. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. We all appreciate it. Excuse me. He says, view from the Rio's looking pretty good, my dudes. Love y'all. Thanks for keeping me company out here. Yeah, man. This is all thanks to you. Would not be able to have these views without you, man. So thank you very much for coming to hang out. All right. Ship 27. Will there be a funeral for Ship 22? Or Ship 32, excuse me.
Funeral? I don't know. The funeral is taking place in the high bay and in the ring yard at the moment. It is completely destacked now. All 6 sections that make it up between the nose cone and the aft have been sliced up, or at least have been cut into, it's been cut into its sections, we'll put it that way. So it's been fully destacked. I mean, if you want to pay tribute to the ship that got stacked and then proceeded to spend, I think it was 393 days in the rocket garden before getting scrapped without doing anything, go right ahead. But it's kind of, it was there in case something catastrophic happened to like 30 or 31 and they couldn't get Block 2 out as quickly as they did. So no, Kevin, So basically, yeah, it was there as a backup just in case they didn't need it, so they scrapped it, and we're well into Block 2, and ship 34 here. Block 2 is about to fire again, or maybe fire. We'll see.
Or maybe. Okay, let's see. Just the name is just I, so I guess we can run with that. They're asking, how long do you think the static fire will be tonight, assuming that is what they are going for? Alex, I don't think we have any indication right now as to how long it might be, other than previous tests, right?
Yeah, we don't really know. One of the, I mean, it's we could go into how long they are allowed to go, right? But then we also go into, the fact that it's already past 7 p.m. and they are not supposed to static fire after 7 p.m. Under the current PA. But, for example, they have a limit in the amount of seconds of static fires for the year, and it's 150 seconds. However, they have a new environmental assessment about to be released in just some amount of time, like maybe a few weeks, few months. They could try and expire the ones from the older one and then say, okay, since now we have a new one, let's reset. So you could, in theory, just entirely deplete those allowed seconds that they are, permitted to do, and then just go for a longer static fire today. That could be entirely possible, but again, we're starting to enter into things like, are they actually able? Are they actually not able? And things like that, which for that we will have to, consult an expert, I guess.
Well, we have two here sitting with us right now, don't we?
I would
Are
not
we?
consider myself an expert.
Are we?
I just read documentation and I try to interpret that. And I interpret that as they were supposed to not do any static fires after 7 p.m. But if they do today, it wouldn't even be the first time that they do that, right? Because as we were mentioning, just for ships alone, on those suborbital paths, they were already doing that a while ago. And Booster 13 also did a static fire after 7 p.m. Central. So, yeah.
The only booster static fire they didn't tweet about.
That is true.
It's
I'd
just
be
fun.
sad though if they were not to release any footage of this, like all of those
Right.
high close-ups and everything.
Yeah.
That would, yeah, no.
I mean, I'm sure that there's a lot that they don't want the rest of the world to see, and SpaceX over the years has been fairly transparent in terms of the footage that they let the world see when it comes to their failures, and they are not shy about their failures either. But it would be a shame if we didn't get to see at least maybe what happened a little bit more in terms of what's beyond data and what we can see from the ground. I think the fact that we had, or that there were people in the Bahamas or the Turks and Caicos who had such a spectacular view of the Rudd reentry was just complete happenstance, and they were in the right place at the right time to see everything that was happening. So, yeah, hopefully we can get some more footage of that, because that would be really interesting, especially if there's any way to tell how the ship was oriented before it met its ultimate demise when it broke into, I guess, a million pieces. Puffin Smurf asking, too bad we won't be able to see multiple shockwaves at night. I mean, it is dark. It is pretty dark out there at Massey's, but the Raptors, when they are interacting with the flame diverter, are pretty bright. So I wouldn't rule it out that we will see something. I mean, regardless, we will see something, right?
You'll probably see two distinct flashes of light when they go between the sea levels and the RVACs.
Yep. Exactly.
Which will be kind of cool. And it'll just be a bright flash of light from under that thing, and then it's just going to be a massive cloud lit up by the exhaust. It'll look really, really cool if they do go for it.
I think
what's
that?
That...
What do you see?
Okay, so the cloud that's right at the base
Mm-hmm.
could be engine chill. I say could, because they did move it. They moved the engine chill over the last little while. That could give me a minute. Let me double check some stuff. That could be engine chill.
So I will also add to this that whenever a rocket launches and it's during nighttime, you actually tend to see more the shock waves during nighttime than during daylight, because the engines themselves allow light up the shock waves. And I've seen more of that on, I don't know, like the expert on photographing rockets is Max here, but at least on my experience watching live streams and whatever, I've seen that at least during nighttime, it's actually more of a thing.
I mean, I think it's a bit far calling me an expert on that. I'm just a visual observer.
But you actually put cameras that shoot rockets, right? So,
I mean, that is one of the things we do. Yes, that is a pretty good point. Thinking back on it now, I mean, just looking at 39A, whenever we see Falcon Heavy or Falcon 9 launch, I guess it is a bit more noticeable whenever we see what's the word for it? The waves pummeling through the rest of the infrastructure and bouncing back off. I guess it is a bit easier to see that at night because you have that contrast between ultra bright and like pitch black. So, but we haven't seen one at night from Massey's yet, so I think it's difficult to say what exactly that might look like. And also, the Raptors themselves during daytime are not that bright, especially compared to RP-1 powered engines or even solid rocket motors. But at night, obviously, when the exhaust is interacting with the ground infrastructure, it can get pretty bright, as we've seen with all 33 Raptors pummeling the water-cooled plate at Pad A. So I guess we'll find out, as with many other things.
So,
what's that?
That cloud, if I'm right, is the new engine chill vent, because they swap. So they used to have it down towards the trench. So it used to be like on the other side. You'd have to. It would drop down and go into a set of gravel that was on top of some concrete, is where the line used to go. And you don't really want to always put a bunch of cryo on concrete. What looks like they did is they transferred it. It's now it's kind of on the ramp section, where there's a bunch of dirt, and then they basically made a gravel pond for the engine chill to go into. If I'm seeing it right, we would be at engine chill, and if that engine chill started, well then what? I think it was like about 5 minutes ago, so 15 minutes, because they usually do engine chill at T-minus 20.
I was going to ask you about where in the timeline engine chill comes into play.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see. That is it. This is entirely dependent on if that is engine chill. But it definitely is a newer vent from where I've seen it before, unless someone wants to tell me wrong the other ways. But yeah, it's just without it, we don't really have any other indicators because we can't see frost because SpaceX is not being kind enough to put a spotlight on the ship, which would be really, really cool. But you kind of have to live with what you got.
We also don't have a live stream to go off of as well to, I guess, judge our timelines and their timelines and where their data is at compared to no data that we have at all. So we are just looking out through the black. This is good old tank watching with the bit of knowledge that we have after watching previous attempts for testing. So, all right, let's run through some support really quick before I get lost in that. Methane Man with the 5 red team memberships gifted. Thank you very much. We greatly appreciate that. Colin Casper saying, go NSF with the 19.99 super chat. Thank you very much. That is always greatly appreciated, and we love seeing you hanging around. So thank you very much. KF with the with the £1 super chat. Thank you very much. No message there, but thank you very much for coming to hang out with us. And lastly, for now, Turtle Sanctuary with the $20 super chat messaging, don't mind me, just joined this stream from the DOS Vast Premiere. What a fantastic proof that NSF works for us every day. That's pretty cool, isn't it? It's not every day that a space station manufacturer or future space station manufacturer or space station company, as Max Hout says, allows us behind their doors and to film all of their hardware and their future infrastructure as well. That is a pretty rare opportunity, and we are super grateful and we are very lucky to have had that opportunity to work with them and speak with them and learn all about Haven 1 and their Haven demo coming up soon as well, and as well with their future plans for Haven 2 and beyond. So, wickedly cool opportunity, and thank you very much for checking that out before coming over here. Running through some more questions here. Let's see. J-Dub asking, will frost be visible on the vehicle? Normally, yes. If it was daytime, it'd be a lot easier to tell.
Or if we had a light on the ship, but unfortunately at Massey's they have a singular light that's kind of like right in the middle. It's basically the light is like right next to the booster cryo station is where that single light is. I kind of with all their upgrades to Massey's, I wish they had more lighting, so you could see things better at night, or maybe a spotlight to put on a vehicle, because that would look really, really cool, like having a spotlight look up at a booster while it's there. But can hope and dream. But it makes it impossible to tell if there is frost on. With the fact that the tank farm has been going as long as it has, they have to have had loaded something on board. We just have no way of confirming whether or not it actually is, because we just can't see it.
Hey Ryan, really quickly, I'm sorry to cut you off, but there's a blinking light in between those two white tanks on the left-hand side. Oh, now it's moving. So look, up here, SpaceX may have probably a drone up. Yeah, so that might be a strong indicator that we are either well into propellant load and or very close to a potential static fire or spin prime, hopefully a static fire. But either way, very close to some engine testing. All right, Alex, I'm going to go ahead and toss this one to you. I want to hear your thoughts on this. So I is coming back again asking, do you think that Booster 14 will be reused, and in which flight will it be so?
Ooh, I do think it's going to be reused. As for what flight, I'm not sure. I don't think it's going to be Flight 8. That I can tell you, 100% sure of that, because we have already seen Booster 15 out for static fire testing and whatnot. So it's looking pretty much like it's going to be the one for Flight 8. For future flights after that, though, it will be nice at least if, because right now we're seeing at the production side, they're building now the second half of Booster 17. And if they keep the sequence without reusing boosters, then that will mean that is the booster for Flight 10. But if they want to fly very quickly, that booster still being stacked as of today, that is not going to be fully finished, right? And instead, if they could reuse a booster, like 14, for example, then they don't need to hurry up that stacking. And so they can have enough time to keep launching and also finish boosters that are later into the production. So I think we're going to see a reflight of Booster 14 or even 15 or 16 or whatever. And I think it could be as soon as Flight 9 or 10, because I think it will be very, very useful for them to be able to complete all of this production of the future boosters.
Yeah, and we don't exactly know how far away the Block 2 boosters are in terms of, I think, serial number, right? So
yeah, right now we don't. We have no idea.
Yeah, so I think it's up to their most benefit. What is English? I cannot speak tonight. It is with their best interest in mind, I think, to keep using Block 1s as much as they can to obtain as much flight data and push the limits of learning Block 2 as fast as they can before Block 2 comes online, because they need to have Block 2 up, at least the Block 2 booster standing, to utilize Pad B at all, because that is what the orbital launch mount is being designed for, and a Block 1 booster will not work over there and with that new launch mount. So we will have to wait for a Block 2 booster for that pad to come online, at least for booster activity. They may end up catching a ship on it at some point. That's just hearsay, and that's just a prediction. There's no official word on that, but again, we'll have to wait and see.
And by the way, if you're seeing some cars or anything, those are nowhere near Massey's. It's just the perspective. Those are on Highway 4. Yeah,
the Rocket Ranch outpost is pretty. I don't want to say pretty far away, because everything is pretty far away from everything else around Starbase. But we do have a spot that is elevated enough to see over the land over there to have a good view of Massey. So that is why the views look the way that they do now. And of course, the sun being down, not a lot of live streaming cameras do well in low light. So that is why the views are looking like this, on top of Massey's just being so dark in general.
Yeah. To be clear, on the US side of things, the closest that you can get to that ship is about a mile or so.
Yes.
So, yeah, and that's safe enough because we've seen that when they've been doing testing at the launch site, the distance to the block or the roadblock, for example, it's also about a mile or so. So we know that at least that's a safe distance. It works for the launch site. It also works for Massey's. From Mexico side, it's a different thing, but we're not going to that.
Running through some more questions here. Blitz Gaming asking, when is your guess we will see the next test flight? I think, again, that's all hearsay and just predictions. We don't really have, or speculation, I should say. We don't really have any word, and there has been no official mention between anything from the FAA or any official notices, whether it be NOTAMs, TFRs, nothing, as to when that might be yet. And of course, the investigation is still ongoing as to what happened with Ship 33, that being the mishap investigation. So we are not sure yet. There are rumors that there are that there is a slot at the very end of February coming up, but there's no official word on that. That is all, again, hearsay. If we had to predict, I would honestly say within the first couple of weeks of March is a good time frame, if they, of course, can get the investigation resolved. Alex and Ryan, what do you guys think?
It's gonna be tough to see when it goes. We're just kind of waiting to hear. I hope SpaceX says something, maybe along the lines with if they do get an engine test done tonight with this thing. Maybe when they do get this test, maybe they say something about, oh, well, here's the fix and we've tested it on this or something like that. That'd be kind of cool. But I can hope, because I'd like to have like some lead time to come up with some stuff before they actually fly. But yeah, it's hard to really tell. I'm thinking March though, really, for Flight 8 one way or the other.
Seems to be a common theme between a lot of people. Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it will be March for Flight 8. And hey, there's the spring break, right? So maybe a lot of people will be able to see that from South Brighter Island, which I think it's one of these usual places where a lot of people go for spring break. But yeah, I mean, if they do it earlier than that, of course, I'm not going to complain, right?
Right.
We all want these Starship launches to happen as soon as possible, but I do feel that it's probably a March launch. Yeah.
I'm glad you actually brought up that point of spring break. That was actually a bit of a headache for SpaceX around Flight 3, because they had a lot of boats going into the keep out zone of the water, and that was a bit of a nightmare for the Coast Guard and all other powers involved trying to maintain boats being outside of that. Spring break around SPI and South Padre Island Starbase is always a time of all times, but there is certainly a lot of people, and hopefully there won't be as big of a headache if they do end up launching around that time. But hopefully people have learned. I mean, that was the first time they had launched around spring break, I think. Flight 1 was just afterwards, when that would be around April 20th. So hopefully we won't have that issue again for Flight 8, but you never know.
I mean, you could still have that for Flight 9, April 20th.
Oh, no. Please, no. Well, to be fair, we've also had that issue here a few times here at the Cape. I remember for the Cosmos SkyMed Gen 2 mission in early 2022, I'm sure we all can think back to when a cruise ship of all vessels violated the keep out zone and caused the launch to abort around T-minus 30 seconds, which was a rather painful experience because that was one of the most beautiful launches to ever have occurred, with it launching just after sunset. So yeah, that's painful. I guess just moral of the story, if you have a boat, just stay outside of the keep out zones, please. Please. For everyone watching.
Read the Not Mars.
Read the Not Mars, yes. All right. So Paul Hilger's asking, how long do you think the prop load will take from now on? Is that I don't know if he's talking about for just ships at Massey's or for the full stack in general.
So, okay, if we're talking Pad A, prop load, they might be able to get a little bit quicker with the amount of vaporizers they've been able to add in. So you have more backfill into the tanks, which means you can empty the tanks quicker. But they are somewhat limited in Pad A with the size of the prop lines that go, you know, from the pumps through the subcoolers into the fluids bunker, gets split off between the OLM and the tower, and of course on the OLM and the tower itself. I would assume they might be able to get it down to 40, or some more along those lines for Pad A. Pad B is a whole different story. They're going to have more pumps. The supply lines going to the tower and OLM are about double the width in terms of actual, like, they're double the size. Which most likely means I would expect ship and booster to get larger openings on their QDs. Those might actually happening later down the line as well. So for quicker fueling, and with the setup they've got there, I wouldn't be surprised if they got it down to 30 minutes or less.
Which is pretty wild.
Once Pad B goes into, or 39A goes in, because 39A will have the same setup.
Right. And which is pretty wild in itself, because Falcon 9 takes about 35 minutes for prop load on both stages, and that is a rocket of it. I don't know how much smaller it is, but it is nowhere near close to the size of Starship, let alone fuel capacity. So that's pretty mind blowing.
They could probably lower the field time on Falcon 9. It would probably require upgrading the lines, upgrading the subcooler capacity, the pumps at the pad, as well as you'd have to also modify the rocket QDs and everything. Mm-hmm. And that's not really something you can really do with Falcon 9 at this stage.
I mean, you could. It would just take a long time, and that's not something SpaceX likes to do. Go ahead.
Plus, you lose your crew certification because you'd have to refly it again after heavy mods, right?
Well, I was going to mention one problem that Falcon 9 has that Starship doesn't, is that its liquid oxygen tanks have COPVs inside, which, as far as we know, Starship doesn't have that problem, and it is a problem because you have really cold helium inside that you need to load as well. And when you have something as cold as helium inside of another cold liquid like liquid oxygen or liquid methane, if you will, or to do that also on Starship's fuel tank, then you have a lot of problems there with all of those interactions. And that is in fact what happened with Amos 6, that they were loading helium onto the COPVs, and there was a chain of events there that produced the explosion. So they had to revert to a different loading of both helium and liquid oxygen on the vehicle precisely because of that. So it's not just loading liquid oxygen onto the Falcon 9, but it's also loading everything else. On Starship and Super Heavy, it looks like they do a bunch of that stuff well ahead of time. We see those chimes venting well before we see propellant load onto the booster, right? So it seems like they do those those COPVs and those tanks get loaded well before propellant load, and they are also separate. Like, there's no interaction between both, so they can totally do that whenever they want, as long as it's safe to do, of course.
Right. Before things kick off again, can we even see the ship anymore from this view? I can't even tell.
You can kind of see it because you can see little reflections of the non-tiled pieces on the heat shield side that aren't done, as well as you kind of see where the static fire stand is. But there is, looking at a ton of other cameras and some other people, we might actually have a decent amount of frost on this thing. It's really hard to tell, though. Trying to use a ton of different freaking angles and other sources, but we might actually have frost on this thing. It's hard to tell how much, though. Of course, if they do plan on firing a stack fire, you're probably going to get at least it would be like at least a ring of methane, and usually it's a full tank of LOX, or close to it. So it's one of those things that we're just kind of waiting to see when the tank farm dies down, indicating they might be done with prop load. So kind of where we're at the moment.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't necessarily see the engine chill event happening anymore.
If that was the engine, the whole thing is if
Right,
that was the engine.
right. Right. Big old caveat there, that's right.
To put that out there, it might have been, it might not have been.
Ryan Weber said it has to be true. All right, moving right along, I'm gonna hit some support really quick before we get behind again. Astro Knucklehead, a name that we see in here all the time. Thank you very much for gifting 1 Red Team membership. So someone random who's watching and in the comments would have just been gifted a Red Team membership free of charge, courtesy of Astro Knucklehead. So thank you very much. Echo Deal with the $5 super chat is, you are looking at a rocket. It is pitch black. You are likely to be eaten by a GRU. Oh boy. I hope not. I hope not.
Well,
what?
That's the methane subcooler. Subcooler is going nuts right there. So that's probably methane loading if they hadn't already started methane loading. Because a lot of times they slow load it and then they'll quick load it to finish it off. At least is what Massey's a little bit weird with the way they do it. It's not like loading at the launch site or anything. They do kind of a weird thing where they load most of the LOX and then they load most of the methane. It's just kind of the way they do it. I guess it's to have the methane in there as little time as possible, but I think we're really with this, we could be within more like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It's really, really hard to tell because we just don't have a frost line to kind of compare. So,
I mean, to be fair, from this angle, we have next to no visual of ship at all.
Yeah.
But you know what? Now that I don't know why this is just now hitting me, but we've seen next to no Starship activity at night, and with this new flame diverter system, I think it'll be a good reference to show us how methane and how it interacts with the ground infrastructure will look at night in terms of how bright it might be, which I guess it might serve as a good reference for those of us with cameras and wanting to photograph Starship at night when that does eventually end up happening. Still have no idea when that could happen, but Starship launching at night, I can guarantee you, is going to be an absolutely insane sight to see.
I cannot wait for Pad B.
Dude,
because the shots from north and south or from highways, I was looking at the angles again. The shots will look like Saturn V taking off with the two exhausts shooting out each side and it lifting off is what it's going to kind of look like.
You know what other rocket has like a double-sided flame diverter? Proton.
Yeah,
so it might be some kind of like weird mix of Saturn V and Proton, because Saturn V had a gargantuan flame trench to work with, and like we don't know exactly how deep the trench is at Pad B, but with all 33 Raptors firing at the same time, I don't even know how that's going to look, to be honest with you. Like, that is so it's such a wild thing to imagine.
Without concrete currently in the without the concrete walls and floor, it's maybe around 12 to 15 meters deep. It's been really hard to find a reference point for it. And then with it, I think it's like 18.5, 19 meters wide or more. It's wide. We'll put it this way: it's wider than the trenches at 39A and 39B. It's not longer than those. Those are from the entrance right over where the vehicle is, all the way out through the exit. So where it then it completely opens up and goes out, which includes the entire length of the concrete. It's like 137 meters or something like that for LC-39. This one I think is maybe around 80, 90. It's really, really hard to tell. But overall, though, it somewhat rivals the flame trenches at Launch Complex 39, which is hilarious because those are gigantic. It would be cool to stand in this thing once it's done. Like, just stand in a flame trench. I mean, you know.
He said the thing, even though it's not Friday.
Yeah, we'll say it on Friday again.
It should be 3-sided, just like the N1 flame trench.
my
I was
God, that would
hoping
be
I was
insane.
hoping for like a tri-star 3-sided trench. The problem is it just doesn't work well with the way they have the launch tower, the way they stack stuff.
Not
It
with
just-
that attitude.
Yeah, they will have a bit of room on the south side.
Well, the other problem is it's just they don't have a lot of room to do it with. If they wanted to do it at 39A, they probably had all the room in the world to do it if they wanted to, or 37. But
All right, Human quickly asking at NASA Spaceflight, which did more, Ship 20 or Ship 26? Ship 26. Moving along.
20 did more. 20 did a lot more for the program than 26
Ship
ever did.
26 is best ship.
It
Moving
got full stacked, just saying.
Yeah, it got full stacked. It helped pathfind. Helped pathfind the stacking process. It helped pathfind its way to 24 and Raptor 2. No, 20 is obviously the better ship over 26 in every
Ship
sense of the
26
word.
is the best ship. I wish I had mute powers so I could mute Ryan. Anyway, Craziness Incorporated with the $5 super chat. We can't wait to see this thing deliver Bush's baked beans directly to my house. JK, thanks for streaming the testo. Always like to see progress. Yeah, we do too, and that sounds like an interesting day when that ever does happen. End up happening, I should say. Todd Johnson becoming a Pad Rat member. Thank you very much. We greatly appreciate that. Mac1985 with the $2 super chat and no message, but thank you very much for contributing, and we will see you in the stream and hopefully more in chat. Oh goodness, I have a Astro Knucklehead and Eric Fraser going nuts in the in the support queue. Y'all behave yourselves. Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. Come on, kiddies, behave yourselves. All right. Let's see here. Moto Kenzo asking, where is Massey's ship loading and static fire controlled from? A nearby bunker? I think it's over at Astro, right? Just like with Pad A and eventually Pad B for launch?
Yeah, I believe it is from there. Ooh, you can see there the
that's
frost
Frosty.
ring.
There, now you can
Yeah.
see Lux
That is-
And you can see it also on the methane tank. Look at that.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, there you go.
So if they're okay, now we finally have visual confirmation that we are well into prop mode at this point. Do we know? So with boosters, we know they go full load on the right. Is it they go full load on the ox tank and then partial load on the methane tank, or vice versa? Someone help me out here, please.
They are. Let's see here. Trying to remember where that common dome is. They're pretty full. They're about 2/3 or more on the LOX tank right now. And they're filling the methane tank. Depending on duration, will depend on how much they load it. So, yeah. Yeah.
Nice to see that we actually have an actual visual on Frost. Thankfully,
Right.
Yeah.
we aren't just completely in the dark anymore. So we are well into prop load for Ship 34 at last. All right, Hidden Force asking at NASASpaceflight, if they reuse Booster 14, would they also refly Raptor 314? Ooh, I hope so.
Yeah,
I have a
don't know.
feeling. I have a feeling that Raptor 314 is going to have a long history, or have a long life at SpaceX, whether it be on Booster 14 or future ships or boosters, I should say.
I mean, at some
Maybe.
point, it'll be dead because there won't be flying R2s anymore. So
Unless they recover it and they end up putting it on display for somewhere.
I mean,
Ryan,
I say they do. Well, I'm talking about flight life, like flying that much. What I if they do get it back and they don't dunk it, say they fly it again and they get it back, it should be a part of the engine cluster that should go on to Booster 12 when they want to make it into a lawn ornament. Yeah, they should have that Raptor go on to Booster 12.
I mean, they have a Merlin ornament inside of one of the facilities at Starbase, so why not having a flown Raptor, Raptor 314, as a future Raptor 2, I guess, ornament, maybe? I think it'd be worthy of that, assuming it survives long enough.
Wouldn't it be funny if they moved that Raptor from Booster 14 to Booster 15? It did the static fire test on Sunday, and then it were to fly on Flight 8 on March 14th.
That would, oh my
'Cause
god.
that's Pi Day.
Alex,
Pi Raptor flying on Pi Day.
Alex has said it, so it must become reality now. SpaceX, if you are listening, launch Flight 8 with Raptor 314 on Booster 15 on
It
314.
should happen.
If maybe it's an idea, hit us up.
Yeah.
Our DMs
Yeah.
are always open. Okay, Misty asking here, when do you expect the first V3 ship prototype? Oh boy. Well, we just got into ship V2, so I don't know. Any of you have any idea?
So I have a theory about this.
Oh boy.
Yep. All right.
Brian has a theory. Everyone grab a cup of coffee, grab a drink, something.
So
has a theory.
they need more payload bay room and more performance for tanker ships. The Block 2 is good, but it needs to be a little bit better. Okay. Now they do not have the bays to make the full Block 3. That does not exist. It will not exist at least until late 2026, and that will be Gigabay at Kennedy, whenever the heck that thing finishes. And when they also have to build one here, build one in Boca, but, well, of course they haven't started it yet, so who knows how long it's going to be until that happens. So then you're left with, well, they want to get to 9 engines at some point, and you need a little bit more capacity, because, I mean, well, more Starlinks you can shove up, the better, and the more prop you can take to refill your depots, the better. So your solution? Extend the ship by 10 meters. So you basically put 2 payload.
Oh, Alex just oped. What?
I'm seeing some venting from the front. Do you see that? It looks like it's coming from the quick disconnect. Well, it's not quick disconnect. Doesn't that happen close to the end?
That could also just be vapor falling from the tank surface, couldn't it?
No, it's too down. It's too close to the ground. And you can even see venting coming from the flaps, I think. Like you can see some white.
Now,
That's where the stand is.
In moving over from V1 to V2, did they relocate any vents to where you're seeing venting from?
They relocated a lot of vents.
Yeah. One of the things that we do see at masses, though, is when it's close to that, like the final few minutes or so, we do see the umbilical connection venting from time to time. So that's interesting. Because I think that's what we've seen there on the left. Like to the right, you see those 2 vertical tanks left to the ship, right? The one that is highly illuminated on the right, there's like to the right of that, in between the ship and that tank, there's like a vent every now and then coming off of there. And I believe that's where the umbilical is, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Ryan,
I see what you're getting at.
Am I going right there? With the geometry of
around where the umbilical would be. Well, actually, here's the thing. Now that I think about it, no, the umbilical is actually higher up because it's up on a gantry system. Which are that might be frost coming off the supply lines that go up to the QD itself, which is, I mean, it's not an actual QD, but yeah. That's really hard to tell from this angle and this distance.
Well, goodness gracious.
What I was saying before is I think the stopgap between a really, really extended ship and you want to get more performance out, and they could do it by the end of the year. It's not really that impossible. You do 3 extra rings worth of prop and 2 rings in the payload bay, and you stick 9 engines. So a 10 meter height increase, so you're up to about 60 basically with 5 rings or so. And then you do 9 engines, so you add 3 more RVACs. And that's your Block 3 ship. That's what I think they'll do. And that'll be what gets used for tankers, for Starlink missions, for a whole bunch of different stuff. Because basically they wanted to make a Block 2 ship with a little bit more, prop load capacity and stuff. Refine the design, and then basically you take your design that you refined and you've optimized, and then you just extend it, make it a little bit bigger, and add more engines. But
Bigger, more engines, V3. That's it.
Yeah.
To summarize everything you just said, that's it. A quick, oh gosh, what's the website? Cliff Notes? No. What am I thinking of? It's like a summary website of books and articles. What is it? Is it Cliff Notes?
Sure.
No? Nobody?
Cliff
Okay,
Notes?
moving on.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Let me run through a bit more support here before I get even further behind. Forgive me, y'all. It's my first time. Give me a break. Ryan coming in with the 5 gifted Red Team memberships. Ryan, thank you so much. We greatly appreciate that. Astro Greg, what are your thoughts on using pineapple skin as the heat shield, given that it can resist temperatures around or greater than 1,000 degrees centigrade? I mean, if it works, it works, right?
Right. That is true. If it were to work, then I guess it works.
The only issue is I wonder how much, like if you took like a normal heat shield tile size section of pineapple skin and put it next to a normal heat shield tile, I wonder what the weight difference would be.
I know who this person is. That will be a really interesting way of protecting the ship. I don't think that will work though.
Not with the attitude. Mac 1985 with the 4.99 super chat and saying, after Starship becomes operational, will static fires before every flight become a thing of the past? Ooh, probably for previously flown ships, I would imagine, similar to how Falcon 9 operates now. I mean, we don't see a Falcon 9 booster static firing after every flight, but we do occasionally whenever we see a brand new booster come in, and we used to all the time with Falcon Heavy as well. So I imagine after Starship becomes operational, the examples that have been flown and have been refurbed with no issue will not have to undergo another static fire campaign. Either of you have any thoughts on that?
I think they'll go just like with Falcon, right? Where the first time before the first launch, they do a static fire test to make sure that everything works. And then unless something huge changes down the line, it just keeps flying. It doesn't do any static fire test before any other launch, right?
Right. Right. FFCT Hawk, forgive me for reading that incorrectly. Having 2 different tabs of Foggy McGregor Live and Starbase Live is quite the jump scare experience. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I guess. You know what? I think it will be a bit of a jump scare whenever Chip 34 does end up deciding to light its engines. Like, we'll all just go, ooh!
And 10 seconds later, we'll hear the sound.
Yeah, right. Bit of a jump scare. Yeah, that is very true. Very, very true. Ash coming in, gifting 6 total Red Team memberships. Ash, thank you very much. Oh, see?
That's is that a... No.
What is
I think
that?
that's headlights.
Oh. Oh no!
Oh dear!
Oh no! We just got by headlights, man. Oh, that's such a tease. That is such a tease. That is so rude. Whoever's driving right now, that's just rude.
That is rude.
Good lord.
I think someone trolled us.
They must have been listening and just been like, you know what, just shine your headlights at them and make them think that, we're going. Yeah, that's fair.
It's because that other one has the road on the way. I think this one doesn't. Yes, see, we really need a way of telling which one is one. But yeah. Oh boy, that was.
You both went oop, and I go.
Yeah, right.
Sure, that's headlights, and you both just died. You're like, oh
it's
no.
It's because it was like right on the location. I mean, not exactly, but very close to it, right? And so it's like,
oh,
is it?
That's going to get clipped now. By the way, it's going to get clipped and shared
I hope it
everywhere.
does. For all of our sakes, I really hope it does. Like that was
worried.
That was
I will
like
be worried.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say I will be worried about it being in the intro, but
Jack paging Dr. Jack for new intro material, I guess. Paging Dr. Jack Bayer. Jack Bayer.
Is that
Jack
it? It's
Bayer.
yeah, just threw Jack under the bus.
Yes, we did. Well, I did, I should say.
Love you, Jack.
Love you, Jack. I hate you too, Jack. I love you, but I hate you. It's fine. Flippers.
It's a love-hate relationship. It's just one of those things.
It's one of those, like, whenever you have Jack and I together, you just have to, like, normally you'd be like, oh my god, are these guys okay? And then someone around you who's been around us for a while will be like, no, that's normal, it's fine. That's just how we are. Flippers79 also gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Flippers, thank you very much indeed. We greatly appreciate that. All right, y'all. What are you seeing? Are there any indications that we might be close to a static fire at this point?
I think the lock's almost full. The biggest thing we'll be able to tell is when the subcooler vents go off, indicating completion of fueling. And then at that point, we're just kind of waiting to see for them to basically just go. There won't really be an indication of when they're going to light. There isn't like a vent or anything that happens, like the purge down vent on the OLM that we can see.
Mm-hmm.
Or there's no DSS. You don't see the water deluge activate.
Right.
All that's going to happen is there will be no venting, and then the engines will ignite. You'll see a puff just below the ship, and with this lighting you won't see it. In this lighting you'll see a bright flash of light as the engines ignite if they're static firing. So
yes,
but considering the prop load, I think they're static firing.
It could also theoretically be a spin prime, right? Just I don't want to put that into the air, but it could also be a spin prime technically.
It could,
right?
But they are filling the LOX tank all the way up, which on ship 33 they did a full LOX tank and a little bit of methane. So they did that ended up being that was a static fire. So I believe it would be a static fire if anything at this point. So
Mac 1985 coming back in with 499. How many headlights worth of light is produced by a static fire?
How many lumens is it?
About that much. Moving on.
How many heart attacks does it take?
How many? Yeah. No. How many oops produced in one static fire?
Oh,
oops. Wait, let's knock out some questions here really quick. So, the Angry Engineer asking, what is the height difference between the orbital launch mount at Pad B compared to the current one at Pad A? Well, I think just visually, obviously, Pad A is up on its 6 pedestal legs, or is it 5 or 6? I can't remember. But obviously, it's about 16 meters off the ground up on an orbital ring, whereas Pad B, Ryan, do you want to talk about Pad B a little bit?
Pad B will sit right on top of a trench. So it might be a few meters off the ground. It really depends on, we don't know how far the OLM, the mount itself is going to sit off the ground because we haven't seen the walls get built yet. So we don't know where it will rest. But we don't really know how far it is between the base of the OLM to the bottom of the trench, because also we don't know how thick the floor of the trench is going to be. That could be like 1.5 meters, 2 meters thick of concrete. So,
do we know if Pad B, the launch mount, will be a mobile unit or if it's going to be fixed in place? Do we know that?
We do not know.
What?
That's all I'll say. We
What's
don't
so
know.
funny, Alex?
That's the eternal debate in the
it is.
community right now.
That would just be the best thing ever if they were able to somehow make it mobile and be like a mini mobile launch platform, like for shuttle.
I mean,
hey, crispy
crispy
NSF, happy shuttle reference. Moving on.
It needs to be mobile. It's just the difference between is it mobile once or multiple times, right?
Oh gosh. Well, I don't like that definition, Alex. You know what what the question was.
Interchangeable is the word, as somebody was saying in chat.
That's fair enough. That's a good point. Space Pope coming in with a $20 super chat. Bless this test, or what we can see of it. But either way, absolutely. Hopefully, nothing happens, or nothing bad happens to Ship 34. All right, Zigzag asking, do we know if there are goodness gracious, do we know if there are any suppression systems installed on Ship 34 like vents? Ryan? Brian?
Oh,
Talking
while muted, NSF classic. You gotta have it at least once, right, in the stream. So there are already vents installed, like 33, and like the rest of it's a Block 2 upgrade. Like Test Tank 16 also had it, although those got closed up. We don't know really why though. But as far as a suppression system, we don't know. I kind of doubt it, because in order to install a fire suppression system on board the ship, they would have also had to route a line from the CO2 tank up the tower and through the ship QD and modify the ship QD to load CO2 on board. And even then, it really wouldn't do a lot, because at the altitude those fires are at, it's not the kind of leak that would require to sustain a fire at that altitude. A fire suppression system wouldn't really do much, because there's not enough atmospheric pressure up there to really, kind of help sustain it. So I don't think they put one on. My guess is they just made sure that they're not going to have a leak such as that again, if that was the cause.
But didn't Elon reference in installing one for future Block 2s in that area, though? Or was that a different system?
He referenced it as a possible solve for the issue that they thought for something they thought might have been the cause. Is basically the best way to say that. So
fair enough.
And sometimes we see some of these changes after even they complete the engine testing. So like, we don't see it now, but maybe it is completed by the time it rolls out for flight, right? So like, we expect that after this testing, Ship 34 will roll back to Mega Bay 2, and it'll get prepared for flight, and that includes the million things that need to be done, right? Of inspections and last-minute changes and whatnot, and that could be one of those. So just because we're not seeing right now doesn't mean that it's not going to happen, right? Or that it's critical for this engine testing. Maybe it's not critical, right? Maybe they want to do all the things first, and that's probably what's taking precedence here, or like a priority, I guess.
Good point. Stephen Daly asking, any chance there might be an infrared camera in NSF's future? That is a DOS question. I really hope so, because it would make viewing tests like this super helpful. I really hope so.
I'm just gonna say,
what's that, Ryan?
Venting is dying down a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, I noticed that as well.
That is usually a sign that we could be getting somewhat close here, because the CH4 subcoolers aren't really going anymore. The LOX one really isn't. The venting we could be seeing could be from that engine chill line. It's really hard to tell though. But I can see what looks like a full LOX tank right there, and maybe a ring of CH4, I would say. But you also have to remember too with this is that they don't technically have to load as much, because they have 4 transfer tubes worth of fuel they also have as well. So, it's going to be interesting to see. But I think we've got at least a ring of CH4, which would be more than 33.
Yep.
Which could indicate something longer. Who knows?
So what you're saying is we could be pretty close here to a potential.
Could be very close.
Okay.
Very, very close.
So at the moment, I'm going to. Do I hit one more question while we wait, or should we just stay patient, stay quiet?
I don't know.
Okay. Okay.
The vents,
I'll hit one more.
kind of just gone. So.
Okay. And I think Kevin turned one of the mics on too, so we think he's trying to listen in to see if we hear anything. But Ship 34 is definitely alive and getting ready to hopefully fire up its 6 Raptor engines for a static fire test. It always gets so tense this close to a test of this scale.
Especially when you have no other indicators on when it'll go. All of a sudden, we may just see a bright flash of light.
I think it'll be, very obvious once the test commences. I think it'll be pretty obvious.
Really?
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, I think rocket engines lighting against a dark background might be a good indicator. Yeah, yeah.
Like I was gonna say, if the camera view we just had up there just before this one, Alex, there's a vent that's happening. So you know where the subcooler vents are. and so there's the two subcooler vents, and then there's like a new vent that's in between them. That's about where, in relation to that camera, is the new engine chill line. So, I mean, it should be going at this point, but I'm just kind of curious to see how much time we got left.
Don't be jinxing it, Ryan. Don't be jinxing it now.
I know.
And remember, once the static fire happens, the microphone is a little bit of a distance away, so you won't hear the engines right away. It'll take a bit of time. It's probably like 10 seconds or less, right?
I'm not quite sure how far Outpost is from Massey's, but I think it'll be around there given the speed of sound and the, I guess, just eyeball distance.
Yeah, it's not like when we covered these things from like the swirl pads and things like that, or when we cover a booster static fire test where we have our assets a little bit more closer, right?
Right.
This is a bit further away, so
we
it's
also,
gonna take a while.
Right, and we also, of course, have the same phenomena here in Florida. Whenever we see a rocket fly from like 40 or 39A, and there's always a gap in between us seeing the rocket get off the pad and the sound reaching us wherever we are watching from. And of course, the greater that distance is, the longer it will take for the sound to get to you. But oh my goodness, Ship 34 is breathing, I guess it's fair to say.
Yep. Somebody
Belly
asking
full
in
of
chat,
pop.
we need a countdown on screen. It's like, oh man,
man,
I wish.
If it was
wish
that
we knew.
obvious.
I wish we knew, yeah.
Oh goodness, that would make everything so much easier. But I guess SpaceX just likes to have us chewing our fingernails and doing everything they can to keep us tense. All right, really quickly, I'll hit one question. Felipe Jaramillo asking, can you guys draw around where the ship is? Paging Ryan, Caton. We need Ryan's sketch here, Mr. Ryan's sketch.
Oh yeah,
I
the
don't know.
overlays.
Yeah, the overlays.
If they're going for a round number, 8:15 Central. If they're going for a round number,
that would make sense. We are pretty close to that.
We did see a bunch of workers leaving the bays and the factory, walking across the ring. Oh!
Ooh.
My goodness.
Hey, how long was that?
That was about 50 seconds. Holy cow.
It's like
That was
30, 50
long.
seconds.
That was ridiculous.
See, I know they've been
Holy.
capable of doing long duration static fires on this pad because it could take it. They just had never done it until now.
That was way brighter than I ever thought it was going to be. Holy cow.
Yeah, I
Did
looked
you
at
see
it,
the size of that cloud coming out of the flame trench?
Yeah.
Goodness gracious. Wow. Well, Ship 34 is alive and hopefully well.
Now let's pray for those close-ups from SpaceX. Oh my
Yes.
goodness, I can't wait for those. Because they had like 3 drones up.
Yes. Those drones.
so-
Yeah. The footage from that drone is going to be absolutely absurd. Like, that was borderline apocalyptic from some angles. It looks so wicked. Wow. Well,
it went
there it is,
back
y'all.
and it looked like a minute long.
Yeah.
Somewhere around
That was
8:15,
somewhere about a minute.
55. Yeah, to 8:14:50. Thereabouts, like second up and down here and there. But yeah, close to a
So-
minute, if not a minute. Yeah.
so that means either that was their goal to fire that long, or it was their goal to fire for exactly 1 minute and they saw something they didn't like and cut it short. Hopefully not the latter.
I would expect their goal was a minute long because they've always done it around 6 to 10 second static fires with these vehicles. So my guess is that was the goal, and the goal was a minute, and they hit it. And it's one of those things, it's like, and this is the thing that I've always pointed out, like with past vehicles, like with Booster 7. Booster 7 never did a long duration 33 inch static fire. It never really could with the way the pad's set up, and you can't even really do it now. But that's the reason why they didn't find the leak issue that they had in flight that caused the fire, which burned avionics and wires, and in which they lost control of the vehicle. If they had been able to do a long duration static fire, they probably would have found that leak and said, "Oh, that's too much. We got to do some changes." It's just one of those things of having to try to make up a test stand and test regime for the largest, most powerful rocket in the world. Not easy. Right. So sometimes you have to find things out on the fly during a flight test.
And also trying to hold the ship down while all 6 Raptors are firing at presumably close to, if not at full thrust, puts a lot of stress on the vehicle and on a lot of the systems, keeping it in place. Therefore, therefore stress testing a lot of the sections of the ship that might be problematic. So now, I think. Go ahead. What?
Oh no, you can finish.
No, go ahead. No, please. I want to hear it.
I was gonna say. Now, for those of you who may be asking why they did it this long, I can tell you there's only one explanation, and that's to test a fix from 33. The only reason to fire this long would be to make sure that what happened on 33 doesn't happen again, either some fix or some other thing regarding that mishap investigation. Which that also means that if this being successful and they had the fix on this ship, that investigation might be done, or nearly done. So, I guess we wait to hear from SpaceX with a tweet regarding this, and then maybe something regarding that mishap in Flight 8 at some point here. Because now both Flight 8 vehicles are static fired. 15's back to the Mega Bay 1, it's got to get a hot stage ring and final stuff. This thing has to go back in Mega Bay 2 and get finished off with... It's a heat shield work to finish, probably put those catch points on... there's a few other things. Probably get loaded with some new sim Starlinks to try to test that again. So there's stuff they still have to do. But Flight 8 vehicles, standalone testing looks to be completed.
That looked epic. I know we've already talked about it, but that looked epic. Go ahead, Alex.
I was going to say, we of course are going to have all of the replays from our cameras and everything. Because we got to look back at that test and analyze it and take it apart and hear again the noise of those Raptors. Yeah, as usual.
As usual, we have to analyze everything that we can. I think I saw a few people in chat asking if the engines seem to shut down one by one. I don't think so. I know the Raptors, whenever they shut down, they have a bit of residual methane that comes out and that is burned, and of course creates a bright orange flash, which I guess at night may look like some of the engines are still running, but I don't think so. I don't think that's the way SpaceX has the Raptors, I guess, programmed. So, Ryan, you gotta go?
I gotta go to work. Yeah, I normally leave by now, but I always give myself a buffer before going to work. But I wanted to stay and watch the static fire, so I gotta make an exception for it. It's a long duration static fire. I've never seen it before, so yeah. Well, I'm gonna go to work. You all have fun. I can't wait to see the replays. Hopefully, SpaceX tweets something out, and you two have fun chatting. So,
Ryan Weber, everybody, thank you very much for coming to hang out with us, Ryan.
Yeah,
and for all of your expert opinions as always.
I don't know if I'm an expert, but I definitely follow this thing a lot. So.
You're an expert. Okay, moving on.
Expert.
All right, as Alex said earlier, we are currently working on some replays to show y'all, and that view you saw there from CP11 was presumably SpaceX employees coming out of the Star Factory to watch that absolutely epic static fire that happened over at Massey's just a few minutes ago. Yeah, golly, I think that was the single longest static fire of any complete vehicle or near complete vehicle in the program yet. Is that right, Alex?
Yeah, up to this point, I think the longest any static fire test here at Starbase was with just one single engine on
Yes.
Booster 7. Remember when they did that? It was like 20
Yes.
seconds long, and we were thinking, wow, this is super amazing. Well, try 6 for 60 seconds, right?
On a Block 2 ship, too, is mind you.
Yeah.
And 3 of those Raptors being vacuum-optimized Raptors, not just all sea level.
Now, allow me for the plug, but if you want even more longer Raptor fires, you have plenty of them on McGregor Live, by the way. Some of them can be like 3-4 minutes long. We've seen up to 15 minutes long. So just saying, you have even longer static fires there.
Fair point, and thank you for helping out with the transition there and plugging McGregor Live. I'm new, y'all. I'm still learning the ropes when it comes to hosting and making smooth transitions like that. I'm still working on it. But while we are working on those replays that we have mentioned before, I'm going to go through some support really quick. PN What with the 5 gifted Red Team memberships. Thank you very much. Uncle Yukon also gifting as well 5 Red Team memberships. That is greatly appreciated. So thank you very much. Force Multiplier. I thought my eyes were not eyeballing, I guess. Yeah, that was great. Thank you very much for your support there. NSF Night Viz camera people, yay or nay? I think it's safe to assume everyone on the team vote yay. DOS, can we please have a Night Viz camera? Please and thank you. Thank you very much. Timothy Millen with the $20 super chat. Thanks for sticking in there. This was epic. Thank you for all you do at NSF. We are witnessing history thanks to you. Yeah, this was fun. Even though we couldn't really see the actual ship until it fired, I think that was well worth the wait. Wouldn't you say, Alex?
Yeah, that was neat. You know, a bit of a behind the scenes kind of thing here. We were actually talking about, we should have telestration and everything, and we were joking about the overlays, right, with from Ryan, and then Ryan say that he didn't have any clue about where the ship was, and then the fire happened, and he was like, oh, now I know where it is.
Yes. Yeah, actually, the timing on that was perfect.
Yeah.
That was awesome. FFCT Hawk coming in again with the $5 super chat. That was at least a few pairs of headlights. Yeah, probably just a few. Gamer.io with the $2 super chat. Did the engines? I think this is the one I read earlier, just off of the screen. Did the engines seem to shut down one by one? I don't think so. Although, once we go through our replays, once those are ready, I think we can have a better look at what happened. Hopefully. Bloodhound.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. So ahead.
I was gonna say we'll look through the footage once we get those replays. Sometimes I think I don't know. Maybe the folks actually dealing with the cameras might know about this. Sometimes, usually, if there's like automatic exposures as well, it kind of seems like it's dimming in light, but it's actually the camera trying to adjust to the light, right? So that could also be part of the thing. I really don't know. This is a thing for the people who are handling the cameras. Thankfully, we're not those people right now. Sometimes you do handle the cameras, but this time around, you are not.
It's a very weird feeling being on the other side of the screen and not having to worry about a camera on either my right or my left side. It's a very strange feeling. But speaking of what those replays might help us understand, Bloodhound09 with the $5 super chat asking, is it just me or was there possibly a RUD looked a bit like of a flash and then it ended? I don't think it was a RUD. I think RUD would be a lot more violent. I think there would be evidence of a lot more violence on the bottom of Ship 34 if there was a RUD, if one of the Raptors decided to misbehave, or the whole vehicle itself. Thankfully, no. But as I was saying earlier, the Raptors, when they shut down, there is a bit of residual methane that comes out, and because the bells and everything else around it is so hot, that methane burns, and that is the bright orange flame that you see coming back out from the bottom of the ship or the booster. In either case, but that was that orange flash.
And one of the things is that, for example, when they do a static fire of the booster, they do have a detonation suppression system, which is in place there precisely to blow away all of the gases, methane, and oxygen. So you don't see that for boosters, for example, but you do see that after the landing burn is done,
Yes.
we see that flame out, right, of the
Yes.
engines, because they obviously don't have any detonation suppression system up there on the tower, and so you can see that when the booster has landed, it does that sort of flame out. But that's very normal, especially with a such a volatile kind of material like the methane, right? It likes to turn into gas very easily, and then it flies all over, and so you have these a lot of show but no bark. It's sort of like the saying, right?
All bark and no bite.
All bark and no bite, exactly. and so it's like that's the thing with the Raptor. When you see that, we've seen that on the SN hops, for example. We've seen that also, as I was saying, with the booster landings on the tower, but you don't see that on the booster static fire test because of that system. Here at Massey's, the ships don't have that system implemented. Maybe in the future that could be an upgrade that they may be doing, right? If they want to do this kind of test more often. Ooh, is this the first replay we've got?
Ooh. I think
Looks
so.
like we have a replay.
This looks like it's just after the fire with the clouds that are coming over.
Roll back.
Roll back! Roll it back! Kevin!
We're gonna be backseat operators here. Look at that.
There's a wider angle, presumably from the outpost as well.
And you can see the two flashes of the two.
Oh my
slits
god!
of
Yeah,
engines.
yeah, very clear actually. It's amazing how bright that is. That looks almost like Falcon 9, if not like Falcon 9. Wow.
Yeah. And you can see the shock waves. See there?
Yes.
You can see
Yes.
on the
Oh my
vapor.
gosh. Sorry to
I
squeal,
called it.
but holy crap! Yeah, you did. Somebody was in chat earlier asking about if that would be more, I guess, visible in these conditions, and you're absolutely right. Oh my gosh!
And look at
the size of that
plumes.
cloud.
Yeah.
That
And
reminds
how-
me of the RS-25s firing at Stennis and just making their own rain clouds.
Yeah.
Holy
that's,
cow!
They got some rain.
I think. Yeah.
And there it goes.
Oh my goodness, that is awesome.
See, you've
And there-
got there a lot of flames
Yes.
and everything. That's very
Residual.
normal for Raptor.
Ooh, but that one at the end there though, that was a bit. I think that was what they were talking about. That was a bit peculiar, wasn't it? Maybe. Maybe?
No idea.
I don't think so.
I
Hopefully
cannot wait
not.
until we see this, but with a ship catch,
Yes.
and we can compare that to booster
Uh
catch.
huh. Absolutely.
Oh, haha! Is this Real West getting in the way?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
SpaceX. They did it on purpose, of course.
I just cannot get
Ooh,
over
look at the
how-
camera.
What? Oh
The
wow!
shaking from the static fire.
Yeah, if there was any doubt of how powerful the energy produced from any rocket engine is, like this is the key example. It's causing its own earthquake, basically. Firing directly
Yeah.
into the ground like that. Man, a night launch with Starship is going to be absolutely insane. Wow.
I really hope it looks cool with with the engines and whatnot. I do wonder how it'll change the colors, because you know very well that it changes colors
Oh yeah.
the way that, like, a Falcon 9 during the night doesn't look the same as during the day.
No. Not at all. But we've seen how the Raptors look in low light from their sunrise launches, and we've seen how they look during the day, mostly with Flight 5 and Flight 6, or sorry, Flight 6 and Flight 7. But on the other hand, we've seen how methane can look at night, courtesy of the Terran 1 and also Blue Origin's New Glenn launch vehicle, which just launched not that long ago. Albeit, those engines ran on different combustion cycles. Oh my gosh, that's so bright. Wow. Yeah, so those engines ran on different combustion cycles, meaning the exhaust coming out of the bells looks different. The Raptors run on a full flow stage combustion cycle, so the exhaust looks a bit purple or like light, like pink almost. And whereas the exhaust coming out of the BE4s that power New Glenn, that runs on an oxygen-rich stage combustion cycle. So the byproduct of that means the exhaust is a lot more, ironically, blue, but by comparison to the Raptor. So I don't know if that means the exhaust from the Raptors at night is going to be dimmer or brighter because of the color change, but one thing I am really curious to see, which we saw from a bunch of wide angles from New Glenn, is that the engine bells themselves almost served as spotlights. Like if you look at super wide angle views, there was literally like a beam of light coming back onto the ground, like it was a gigantic spotlight. So I wonder if Starship is going to have that same effect.
We've seen that effect on Starship, on the ship itself, during the engine landing burn.
Yes,
for
you're right.
Flight 5, remember?
You're absolutely right. Yes.
And it looked like this flashlight sweeping across the ocean. It was amazing. Is this a replay with audio?
Yes, it sounds like it.
Audio in the clip. Okay. Let's hear it then.
Ignition. Wait for it. If somebody got a screen grab or just a still image from this angle, especially with the birds in there, that is a freaking album cover, man. Wow. That is so... That might be one of the most pretty static fires that we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Holy cow. As usual, we're a bit lost for words. I think that audio was courtesy of Caesar, and he is an audio meister. So Caesar, if you're listening, thank you very much for going out and setting up your rig.
Yeah, we got the honk. Someone pointed that out in chat. This one doesn't look like it has audio. So. But we can see again here the shockwaves.
Yep.
Yeah. And then the size of the cloud as it moves.
That is so ominous, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Too bad Jack's not in Starbase to watch this one tonight.
Love you, Jack. I know you're listening. Goodness gracious me, oh my. That is what 6 Raptor engines can do from the bottom of a ship when it's held stationary for about a minute. Wowzers. Holy cow.
I don't know if we have replays of one of the zoom-in shots, because one of the things that I did see while we were doing this live, you know how whenever the static fire a ship, you can see the dust flying off, and the condensation of the cryogens inside of the tanks, right?
Yes.
I saw that while we were doing this live, and so I was like, I really want to see that on a replay. If we can maybe get to one of those soon.
Something tells me space. Oh wow!
Oh.
Is this from the hotel?
I see some things in the foreground, so maybe.
Somebody in the back channel help me out. Where's this camera from? This is from North Beach. Okay.
North Beach?
North Beach.
Huh.
Wow.
Interesting. So I guess that's part of the production site and things like that?
Probably, yeah.
Wow.
Either that or part of the village.
Or part of the village, yeah.
Wowzers.
Wow.
I know, like, if someone, like, I know I've said wow or wowzers way too many times, like, in the last, 5 minutes, but this is just incredible. It doesn't get old, man. I know we say it so often, and it sounds so cliche, but this stuff never gets old.
Goodness gracious. Yeah, I cannot wait to see the footage that SpaceX ends up releasing from this test. Holy cow, that was wild. My oh my. One more replay? How many replays do we have? Oh my goodness. Didn't think we had this many cameras up tonight.
I don't know. We often have a lot of them. I cannot even keep track with them.
I mean, this is my first time hosting, so I don't follow replays this closely usually for streams like this. Any second now? Maybe. God, the tension here is just...
Maybe go forward, Kevin.
Somebody, adjust the timing, please. Kevin. Everyone in chat, just ping Kevin. God, this is so tense. Enhance, please. We need the static fire views.
Okay, we're gonna go to another one in the meantime.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Here we go.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, this is from further away.
This looks
You
like
can see there.
this looks like hotel maybe, with how far away it is. Wow, dude, that cloud is huge. Oh no,
Yeah.
this is from Outpost, I think.
Is it?
Wow, I think so. Yeah, I think it looked a bit smaller at first.
Oh, okay. Oh, this is
Good.
from south apparently.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, because
That
I was like,
makes more
it's a
sense.
bit too far away to be the outpost.
The fact that views toward Massey's are this good from South Beach is incredible, because South Beach is not close to really anything. Wow. And you said that we did have the honk. People were saying in chat.
Yeah, I heard the honk on the one with audio.
Okay. Well, that's always good to know. We want a nominal honk, please. More honks. We got more replays. Oh, here we go. That is so bright. Wow. See, the thing with methane is it's the light that's produced from the exhaust interacting with all of the infrastructure below it is very bright, as we even saw with New Glenn. But once it ascends and is in the exhaust isn't pummeling the ground anymore, the whole environment dims very quickly, and you're just left with the deep white blue, like the whitish blue color from the exhaust, or in this case probably pinkish red. So I'm really curious to see how this is going to look at night. Dude, that is remarkable. I know I sound like a broken record, y'all. I'm sorry, but this is just... We could watch this all night. Wow. The birds make it. I'm pretty sure that makes Gage one of the happiest people in the world. Having birds in the shot like that.
You know, seeing such a vehicle static fire for so long, it kind of reminds me of the shuttle when it did the flight readiness firing.
Joel?
Oh my.
Uh-oh. Is it Mr.
my.
Bergen? Is it Mr.
Oh,
Bergen?
did I?
Somebody mentioned Shoal. I thought, oh, hang on a minute.
Did I summon the Bergenator?
It's a summoning, yeah. Basically, anyone even posted it in chat, I suddenly turn up out of the blue and people go, "You've not posted anything in 2 hours," and I mention the word shuttle and suddenly you're in chat. What's going on? I go, yeah, I get a notification on my phone every time someone mentions shuttle around the world, because that's my time to shine. I thought I'd pop in because I feel quite bad for the community. Most of the community here is the hardcore community. That we cancelled the Raptor side because we fully expected massive static fire around the time of Raptor side time. We thought, well, let's do one or the other. And of course, it fires up at night time. But wow, I was watching the replays and I was like, oh, it's static fire. Better do a tweet. Quick, do a tweet. And then I realised, wow, hang on a minute, 55 seconds?
Yeah.
Wow. So I'm thinking... You may have answered this question already, but I'm going to act like someone who's just turned on the stream and go, I've got a question at NASASpaceflight. do we think this is related to the issues with Flight 7 and they've tested out some modifications on Flight 8's vehicle?
Undoubtedly. I'm sure that's why they fired it for so long, was to, I guess, see how any repairs or I shouldn't say repairs, any mods that they've done to that part of the ship that could have been problematic for Ship 33. So undoubtedly, I'm sure that. In 55 seconds stationary on a test stand is not easy for an entire vehicle. I'm sure that was a lot for the whole trench itself to handle for that long, and I'm sure the ship as well. But undoubtedly, and I'm sure SpaceX learned a lot from this, and I can't wait to see what they have to say. But I guess we will have to wait and find out what they end up releasing in terms of footage and information.
That's going to be a fun thing, by the way, because SpaceX puts out a tweet every single time they do a static fire at masses, because they've got that camera on the stand, which looks up at the engines.
Yes.
They're not going to do 55 seconds worth of clip. I think they'll do the full 55 seconds knowing them, because the slow motion was great. You could see the ignition sequence, and you could see the way the engines fire up. But I think this time they could just do a real-time one and just let it, it'll look like it's in hell, the fire, everything just going at full speed. So I hope they do that. And chat is now saying I'm now Owen Wilson because I did a wow. Oh, wow. Wow. That's my Owen
To be
Wilson
fair,
impression.
that's been all of us here after the static fire, especially when the replays came around. It's just wow. Wow.
What's next then, Alex? What do you reckon? Rollback tomorrow?
Oh, you know what? I'm wondering one thing. So, you remember that with Ship 33, they did a 6-engine static fire, but then they did a single-engine static fire.
Oh,
Will
yeah,
we see
that's
that
right.
with Ship 34?
Maybe?
That's the in-flight relight, isn't it?
I think so. Yes, you're right. It is.
Maybe they do it. I don't know if that will be a long one, though. I think for that purpose, maybe they do like a short 5-10 second one. We'll see. But I think that could be a possibility. Now, of course, there are road closures already in place for a rollback of sorts from Massey's to the production side. Is it going to be Ship 34? We don't know, because there's also Test Tank 16, right? That could, in theory, also roll back as well. But we'll definitely be keeping an eye on all of the closures and whatever SpaceX does there at Massey's. And of course, that's going to be on Starbase Live as usual. But if it rolls back, once it does that, it's going to be, flight preparation time. We already have Booster 15 back on the Mega Bay, right? Once Ship 34 is back on Mega Bay 2, it's going to be just waiting to see whenever they come out again. And we're going to be doing... essentially refreshing the website for all of the road closures to see whenever there's a road closure scheduled for the pad. So yeah.
I'm trying to find a segue to make this kind of related, but I will say that Vast, the video I've just pinned in top of chat, because a lot of you are here for the static fire, you're probably thinking, well, what do I do with my evening now? Well, there's 1 hour, 10 minutes worth of a factory tour with Daz and Dee at Vast in California, and an interview with their CEO, Max Holt, which is well worth watching. The segue could be because it's launching on SpaceX, isn't it? Well, so it's SpaceX, it's not for Starship. Okay, yeah. Don't
No.
try. Oh, hello,
Great.
What am I missing?
Of course it'll launch
Not
on
at
Starship.
first.
Yeah. Haven 1 is launching on Falcon 9, and
Yeah.
Haven 2, it's launching on Falcon Heavy and Starship, because they have a big 8-meter diameter module in the middle. That's going to be the core of the station, and that's going to be launching on Starship. So it is
Segue
totally
complete.
have to do. Yeah.
Well, actually, so both
Yeah.
both Haven Demo and Haven 1 are both flying on Falcon 9. So I think it's worth noting. It's worth noting Haven Demo as well. Well, and also the little probe or instrument that Vast is launching on Transporter 13. So technically, they're getting 3 Falcon 9 flights before they end up getting onwards to Starship, at least for now.
And also the Dragons that are going to visit the stations.
And Falcon Heavy, which would with the bigger fairings that will be delivering the segments of Haven 2. So yeah, they're using all of SpaceX's vehicles, which is pretty cool.
And it's super cool. They go at a very fast pace. I think, for people watching that factory tour, they're probably gonna get that vibe of like going fast and trying to innovate and iterate quickly while also doing things very safely. Of course, I think I watched that video. I was really excited to see. It was sort of a secret for us, right?
It was.
And so I didn't know, but I think that could be a possibility now. Of course, there are road closures already in place for a rollback of sorts
double Alex.
from Massey's to the production side. Is it gonna be Ship 34? We don't know, because there's also Test Tank 16, right? That could, in theory, also roll back.
That is not, Kevin.
But
If you're
we'll
trying to
definitely
do
be
the
keeping an eye on all of the closures and whatever
It's
SpaceX
not-
does.
Can you?
Oh my goodness, that is not even the right moment.
I thought
It
I was
happened.
going nuts for a second. Like,
I
Yeah.
did as well.
do I have a tab open or something? Like, why
They're
am I hearing
trying
Alex
to
twice?
play. They're trying to play the clip of when we saw the headlights and we thought it was gonna be the static fire
Oh no!
Oh dear.
Oh dear!
test. And they did not look up what clip they were pulling. So there you go.
This is
Classic
getting out,
L.
this is getting out of hand now. There's two of them. Oh,
Oh no!
yeah, every time there's two things, that comes out every single time. I'm like a really bad Sawyer. I'm like a dollar store Sawyer when it comes to things like that.
Oh, goodness.
I know it's a pound store, but I thought I would appreciate the audience.
Well, chaps, where does that leave us now? Or do you want to run through some more support before we wrap?
Yes, let's make sure we appreciate everybody who supports us doing these things. These things are not cheap. I keep saying every
No.
single time. We will do it anyway. We'll always do it. We don't do it relying on the hope of super chats. It's not the way to do it, because that's where you fall flat on your face, because that becomes expectations. And I always find that we have no expectations, like on the Raptor side, for example, and people do these gifted memberships and super chats. It's like amazing because we're not even expecting it. So when you do support us, thank you. But know that it's all providing you these camera views that we could not do on our own dime. So thank you for your support.
100%, absolutely. And I also want to make a quick note for everyone who had a question in chat tonight. I'm so sorry if I did not get to your question. There were a lot in this.
What
My
is it?
first
That's
time going through
headlights.
everything, so just learning how the panel behaves and learning how everything looks
No.
and how to interact with
What
it.
is
So
it? That's
I
headlights.
apologize if I did not get to your question, but I will be sure to do better at that next time. Assuming Kevin and Chris and Das allow me to come back in this seat.
I think Kevin will
Absolutely.
still be pulling that clip of
Oh,
to
no.
Mogas.
Well, in the meantime, I'm gonna hit some
He
support.
completely gave up and
What is
he's
that?
literally
Headlights.
scrolling back.
Oh my gosh. Oh no.
It's not even the. Oh dear! It's not even the one.
We just got by headlights, man.
Oh,
Such a no. tease. God, that's just rude.
No.
What
I
is
think
that?
that's headlights.
Oh. Oh no.
Oh dear!
This is like me trying to work OBS.
Oh my gosh. We just got by headlights, man. I mean, I guess there's a moment for everyone's first stream, am I right? It's the first time for everything. Okay, moving on. Support Q, the one and only Space Pope, with a $20 super chat. Thank you very much again. Love to see you back in again. And he says, in the name of Starship, the Static Fire, and the Holy Space Ghost, space be with you. That was worth the blessing. We would tend to agree, Space Pope. Thank you very much for coming back in and hanging out with us. Gamer IO with a $2 super chat. That was a car casually driving by. Yeah, we get that now. We get that now. David Massafeld becoming a Red Team member. So thank you very much for doing that. We'd love to see you and enjoy the perks as well. Come and hang out with us. Ryan with the $5 super. What's the chance we see a single in space burn tonight? Oh, probably not tonight. I think they've used up the fuel that they need to for a full static fire attempt. And if they do end up going for a single engine burn, I would assume likely tomorrow. But there is a road closure tomorrow for some hardware movement, which might be Ship 34. It might be Test Tank 16. We aren't sure. But Ship 33 did a single engine burn, so I don't think it's entirely out of the question, as we talked about before, to see a single engine burn. So I guess we will have to wait and see. Axel coming in finally with a $2 super chat. I heard that 20 miles from my house in Brownsville. Yeah, that one seemed pretty noisy, and even though our cameras were pretty close by comparison, they weren't 20 miles away. I'm sure the people over in SPI and everywhere else had had an earful of Raptor goodness tonight. So that was epic regardless. All right, chaps. Oh my gosh. Do we have a clip from Mary?
Yeah, I think this. I can't play it because it'll come off my microphone. But Mary's uploaded a clip of the static fire, and it's caused Alex in the back channel to use profanity to explain how good it is. So I'm looking forward to seeing this.
So do we want to stay on it and play this before we go out?
I think so.
Kevin?
Is this it? That looks like it, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Here we go. Oh, the tension's killing me. Do the thing!
Do it.
Do it! Do it!
Yeah, we're doing this without any preparation, so...
Yeah, we have no reference as to when... Oh,
ooh.
There it is.
Wow.
That's right.
Wow.
I wonder if they could, I'm not really too sure about the distance involved. I wonder if they saw that in Brownsville, that way that lit up the sky.
Oh, probably. I have no doubt. It was very bright. Dude. Mary has the clip of the night easily. That was remarkable.
And you can see the leftover residuals there burning off.
Yes. Indeed. Wow.
See, this is why I said on the back channel, we really need to play this before we wrap.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. Absolutely. And now we're getting played out by Kevin. So I'm going to start thanking people for being on. First and foremost, Alex, thanks for coming on and hanging out with us and giving us all of your knowledge tonight.
It's been a pleasure. Of course, I really want more static fires and dynamic fires and everything, right? Launches. Let's get to this.
Absolutely. And popping in at the last minute, thank you very much, Chris Bergen, for popping in and saying hi.
You don't have to thank me. I literally just popped in for the last 10 minutes. It's like just, thanks for popping in, Chris. You should have said that. Should have left it at that. No, thank you. And thanks for hosting this, Max. And thanks, Alex, for doing this because it's like, 4 a.m. your time, Alex. Wow.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
It's okay. I was going to be awake anyways.
Typical night of Starlings for us here on the East Coast. We also had Ryan Weber with us earlier, who is not with us any longer. He had to go to work, which is kind of lame, but you know what? Do what you got to do. And also behind the scenes, pushing buttons, pulling levers, we had Kevin Michael Reed helping produce the stream, and we had Gage as well helping out, working the cameras, and Caesar in the field with an additional view and a pretty good microphone, giving us some awesome audio. So with all of them, I have been your host for the first time ever. I am Max Evans with NASASpaceflight, and we will see you next time. Peace out, Girl Scouts.
And here we go. We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be nominal.
RCPA chamber pressure looks good.
Traveling up. Roger, planet.
Water towers fly! Yes! Tango down to nominal.
Fighting downside SPD off. Bring in SPD off. It's orange!
Orange 25! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage. Look at this! Put that in the big bag, Jingle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed. We rise together, back to the moon and beyond. and here we go.
We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
RCPA chamber pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger, roll, Atlantis.
Water towers, fly! Yes! Tango down to nominal.
Fighting downside FD off. Say again, FD off. Off. It's orange!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage. Put that in the big bag, Jingle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
This methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You bet. We don't need any more of these.